Hey there, welcome back guys. This video is for the new guy who's new to FPV and you've got yourself a Pavo Pico or any other drone. We're just going to talk about battery care. Some of you might be really good at flying and some of you may not. Some of you might be like me in the beginning and every time you fly you just can't seem to get it right and the drone keeps crashing. Maybe the drone never lands this way, but the drone keeps landing that way on its belly where the battery is. A lot of the newer drones, the battery is basically on top and not underneath. And one way you can tell that the battery is almost ready for retirement with the Pavo Pico is that, see, it's not going in. It's a little bit bulky. And it used to go in, but it's crashed so many times that it's not because it's been dinged. It's just because, I'll show you, this has been dinged, but it's not bent in any way. If you look closely at the battery, you can see that it's dinged there, so that won't go in. But if I flip it over, nice, it'll go in that way. So you might always put your battery in that way and not realize that, hey, it's got a ding, because that's the way you always do it, so the wires are there, right? So that it just flows. So usually before each flight and after each flight, you want to check the batteries. You want to see what's there. This one's got a little ding there. I think it's still fair. This one has a little bit of a ding, looks like a crushed can. And maybe 2 or 3 more flights. This one, something there, burnt mark, and it's like open a little bit. So this one's definitely out of commission. And this one is fair. It's got a little bit of a ding there. I don't know how that happened. Probably when I hit a tree. It's got a little scrapes. Cosmetic scrapes are fine. It's the things you want to look out for. Or the dings and things, right? Kind of rhymes. Scuffs are okay. Tearing of the plastic. It's when it basically becomes bent out of shape, right? And then one day you're going to be flying and it's going to land on something sharp and it's just going to go explode or just smoke will come out. But I have another battery that I retired. So I have 4. I'm down to 3. In the next part of the video, I'm going to show you what happens when, let's say, the battery's just done, out of commission, or if you accidentally puncture it from landing on something. Because as a new guy, well, actually the battery doesn't go in that way. Already I can tell this battery's done because it's not going in. But if I flip it, it will go in. As a new guy, you're just going to crash a lot. It's normal. And you want this to be your starter drone. So let's say I'm flying. Ooh, look at me. I got it. And then all of a sudden, lands. But it lands on something sharp. And it could land on something sharp and then just be on a slow process. Like it's slowly deteriorating. That one you can just tell already. Slowly deteriorating, and then you might leave it here in the middle of the night with the laundry, and then poof, it explodes, and you're basically out of luck. I do have a Lipo bag, which is right here, which stores my battery, but I'm actually thinking of getting another one, or either getting an armor case. Even though I don't have many batteries, I have one for my RC. I think I want to keep one separate for my RC car and one separate for the, for the drones, because, this way when something like this happens and it does explode, it'll be a self-contained experience. And, these batteries are relatively cheap. They're the 2S. But anyway, enough talking. Without further ado, let's go to the next part of the video where we could actually see what happens when the battery is punctured. We're going to be experimenting with a Lipo fire. That's right. Never thought I'd be doing one of these videos, but apparently the battery to the Pavo Pico, when it crashed, there's a little burnt mark, and it's sort of, as you can see, coming apart a little bit and exploding, about to explode. So you always want to watch your batteries. Let me just get ready. So you're going to need a hammer and the nail, and of course some place to self-contain, right, the experience, so that nothing crazy happens. And of course we're not going to burn the hammer, but what's going to happen is, right, so this is we're going to simulate what would happen if the Pavo Pico, as you can see, first it starts to smoke, and then when it starts to smoke, see that? So imagine it hit something metal. So that's simply what would have happened mid-flight. As you see, I don't know if you've seen my flights where I've crashed many times here, right? Or even here. And so that's when you know it's time to get rid of the batteries, once they start to bulge a little bit. Landed there a few times. So another way to tell the batteries are shot, even though it might be cosmetically good, you're like, oh, it's a great battery, I don't know what he's talking about. Well, this is the one that doesn't fit, that doesn't have too many dings and dents in it. What'll happen is when you put it into your charger, wrong hole, where's my, let me just make sure that drone doesn't fall. When you put it in to your charger, right? Of course, those are the meter reading thingies. When you put the sensor in, it says 7.9 volts, which is great. But once I put this thing, the balance thing in, this one's fine. This one's reading everything the way it should, right? But now we're going to take this battery, which has a ding right there. So this one is pretty good. This one's fair, right? And now we're going to put this one in. 4 volts, it's measuring. But as you can see, if you look closer, it's a 2-cell, but it's only measuring 1 cell. That means the other cell is shot. And what some people do is they're like, it's okay, I'll just charge it, I'll override it. You could do that. You could override it in the settings, and then press hold menu, and then press start, and then it'll start charging. It may or may not. See, now it's starting to charge, but rule of thumb, and you can tell it's off balance anyway. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So just press hold menu. I'm not going to start anything unless we want to burn down the house. So that's another way to tell if the batteries are shot. And now it's measuring, well, 2 cells, but when you plug it in, you only see 1 cell. It did like a hard reset to it, and you don't want to hard reset these batteries. If it saw 1 cell in the beginning, 1 cell the last time. Let's see what happens if we plug it out. It's still, now it's reading 2 cells. It's risque. I had to override it for it to see the other cell, and that's a no. It should be fluid every time you plug it in. Let me see if I plug it in again. See, now it's 0 cells. So it's only measuring 1 cell. So again, I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can zoom in or maybe zoom out, right? So another way to measure the batteries to see if they're shot is by using a digital caliper. And basically what you can do is use it to measure, right, the height or width. In this case, we're going to measure the height, right? So as you can see, the height on this battery is 13. Typically on a new battery, it's about 13, okay? And that's how you can tell from there. And this battery we're going to measure, it's I'd say typically I have these 2 new batteries, and the 3rd battery is shot, because almost shot, because usually the battery after a couple of bad crashes, is 14. Right, so this one's at a 14, and that means you gotta watch it, and because that 14 can turn into a 15, and then 16, and then before you know it, it explodes. This one, it'll measure 14 lower in, but you have to measure it where it starts to bulge out. But the true reading of the battery is going to be 13 all the way up, and running all the way down. See, so it's 13 up, down, middle, left, and just like for example here, let's see, 13. See that? No matter where you measure it, it's going to be 13. Okay. But cosmetically scratches, I wouldn't worry about, and also it can be a 14 or whatever, a little bit wider because of the gap, right? So there's a difference between there being a gap, like a spacing in between, just because it's not like sealed all the way, like shrink wrap or however they did it. But so you have to look out for that and distinguish between a gap and a bulge, right? So in this case, you see, it's a 14 and we know it's bulging. And I can tell you it's bulging because it's just been crashing so many times. And, it's time to just move on and retire the battery. It served its purpose. It was great. And remember, just try flying in angle mode. And in case you're wondering how to use a digital caliper, basically, let's say, I use it a lot to measure screws and other things. Sometimes I misplace screws, or I want the measurement of something, if you want to make something. That's how you use that side to measure the inside of something, and use the other side to measure the outer side of something. So you see, that's pretty much how that works. Or if you want to measure for something like this, you measure it like that. I actually used it when the Pavo Pico crashed a lot. Somehow I lost a screw and I needed a replacement screw, and Beta FPV didn't have a screw kit, so it came in handy there. And then I'd say about, give or take, 10 to 20 minutes, oh wow, less than 10 to 20 minutes later, you can come back after you throw some wood in it, and have yourself a little fire. So imagine that battery left at home, just waiting to explode inside the home without a bag, or with a bag. A bag is somewhat guaranteed. I'm thinking of getting an armor or ammo tin box thingy, and in the meantime, I don't know, maybe I'll roast some marshmallows, or think about what could have happened in there if I just let the battery over time do its thing. So anyway, I hope this video helped you in better understanding how, gosh, flame just keeps getting bigger, how the Lipo batteries work and how they're fun, but yet not fun if you don't manage or take care of them properly. After the crash, inspect them, and even before the flight, inspect them so that you know what might lie ahead. So, don't burn down your house. Fly safe, be safe. Remember to like and subscribe to help keep this channel going. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free. The flame just keeps getting bigger. Feel free to leave them down below, or ideas for other videos. And I'll see you all next time.